I'm Alicia.
And I'm Maddie.
And welcome to the Fangirl Diaries, a podcast where we talk about our obsessions,
Reminisce about our teen icons,
and explore the books, movies, and shows that made us the incredibly nerdy 30-somethings that we now are.
Hello, everyone!
It's season 3!
Oh, we're excited to be back.
I can't believe we're on season 3 of this.
Also, our seasons are a bit random. Like, it's just like when we take a bit of a break.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, we're a bit busy right now, so we'll take a bit of a break. And now we're back.
Yeah.
We're ready again.
We've had Christmas, you've been away,
Yeah.
all of this, and we are now back to recording, full steam ahead.
Yep.
And we're starting with an episode that, we've got to say, we had really never actually planned to do.
No,
Right?
this was never on any of our, like, spreadsheets of ideas of episodes.
Can we just try and make us sound a bit cooler than the fact that we have spreadsheets of ideas of episodes?
Of course we do.
We do, yeah. We do.
Why would we not?
Yeah, we do. But this was not on there.
No, but it is definitely something that we have been completely obsessed with.
Yeah.
Not only for the last few weeks, when this has kind of taken over the country and everyone is talking about it, but also like for the last couple of years, there's been a series coming out, and we are talking about none other than the TV show, The Traitors. Is this our first like reality show that we're talking about?
Is it?
Or like game show? Like we haven't
is.
really done reality TV on this. It's not something that we like often talk about.
I had to pause when you said that because I thought, it can't be. I thought, oh God, I'm the person that watches the Kardashians that wasted their life watching Made in Chelsea and all that rubbish. So I can't believe we've not talked about it.
But I never watched those, so we didn't like.
Yes,
have
you're a better
reason
person than me, Madeline.
We never had a reason to talk about them
It's
together. Like we could do an episode where you explain them to me.
It's not worth it.
No,
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. So, The Traitors TV show, kind of reality TV, but also like more game show and like long running game show where you get to know the characters.
And it's an odd one for me to be so into because I'm the opposite, which is that I will rot my brain with reality television, but I'm not a big game show person.
Whereas I think I do like a game show. I'm not like, there's none that I'm completely obsessed with, but I will always watch like a bit of, I don't know, House of Games or like Pointless or previously like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and things like that. Like, I will watch a game show.
But I mean, I really didn't. So when this first got suggested, this is BBC's The Traitors.
Yes.
It's BBC. Are they the originators of this concept?
No, it was actually originally in the Netherlands, I believe, and it's been franchised out to various countries. But in the UK, the BBC produces it.
Okay. And at the point that we're recording this, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yesterday was the live final of season 3. So we are going to be recapping some details of season 3. Once again, if you've not watched it, go away because
we'll spoil it.
Like this is like it's not worth it being spoiled. Otherwise, there's no point in watching the show. But we'll think about why does this concept work. And I mean, this has been pretty big for the last 2 seasons. But have you noticed that this one, season 3, seems to be in the kind of public discourse even more than the other 2?
Yeah, I think it was in season 2, but season 1 I watched actually pretty early on, like as it was coming out. And I don't think there were many people watching it at that point, or at least not at the beginning of it. And it really, really spiraled through word of mouth. Like it's one of those things that is so addictive that it became successful because everyone just said, you have to watch this to everyone that they knew.
Yep.
And that is what happened with us.
Yes, because when you say that to me, I obey because it's normally correct. And that's right. We have a shared, actually what was really powerful about this recommendation was we have a shared WhatsApp group, you and I and our school friends. And a lot of the time, if you recommend something to me, it's normally in our sort of nerdy fantasy category. And it wouldn't necessarily be something that our other friends would possibly be into sometimes.
Yeah.
And yet everyone on this WhatsApp group immediately chimed in, being like, "Oh my God, I'm obsessed with it."
Yeah.
Like, you have to watch it.
It's just, it was one of those recommendations where it wasn't like, oh yeah, I think you should watch this, like it's really good. It was, you have to watch this.
Yeah.
It's completely addictive, incredible, insane. Like, you have to watch it. Anyway, we need to get into the concept really quickly. I'm sure everyone who is listening to this knows the concept, so we'll do it super speedily. But essentially, it's like a version of like party games that you probably have played, like Werewolf and Mafia, where you just like, everyone has to pretend that they are a faithful, but secretly 2 or 3 or like some number of people are secretly the traitors. So there's versions of this where it's like everyone's a villager and some people are a werewolf, or everyone's a townsperson and some people are like the mafia bosses or whatever. There's like versions of this game that are just like party games that people play.
Most people have encountered this game in some way, shape or form outside of this television
it's even
show.
like Wink Murder or something that you play as a kid, like where some people are trying to murder other people. But essentially, each night, 2 things happen. 1, the traitors choose somebody to murder secretly. Mm-hmm. That person will be gone from the game completely overnight. And then the next day, everyone round the round table has to vote and guess who they think the traitors were.
Yeah.
And so the goal essentially is to not be caught as a traitor, to not be caught like being obvious that you were the one that murdered someone, or being obvious that you're like trying to influence people. And for the faithfuls, the goal is to like try and find out who the traitors are.
And survive. It's so brilliant. It is a multiplayer secret identity murder mystery reality TV show.
Yeah.
And you could think that is too many concepts going on at once for it to be palatable. And yet, it's so delicious, this show.
Yeah, but actually, like, the rules are quite simple. Like, it's quite simple, straightforward rules. But it becomes complicated because of people and relationships and, like, just the way that, like, people form bonds and trust. And it ends up all being about, like, the psychology of how you trust people or don't trust people. And actually the rules of the game become less important.
Yeah.
And what becomes important is your relationships and how you trust and how you form bonds and stuff. It's very interesting.
And it exacerbates the best bit of reality TV, which is that we like to see on reality TV, whether this says something very wrong about us as a nation, we like to see people lying to each other, double-crossing each other. If I'm watching something terrible, like Selling Sunset, it's like trashy reality TV about real estate. I'm not watching it for the real estate. Actually, I kind of am. But I'm watching it for when one of them's having a fight with the other one because there's been some secret information that's been talked about. Yeah. And that is the premise of this entire game.
And it also puts it in a really safe place as well, though, because, like, whereas on something like Selling Sunset, I sometimes don't like reality shows because people really are bitchy and they are nasty people, and you have to enjoy watching not very nice people to enjoy those shows. Whereas in The Traitors, you can enjoy the nastiness, but knowing that it's a game. And that the traitors are actually not bad people. They've just been put into the situation and the whole thing is a game and everyone knows it's a game. And so the scheming, instead of being like nasty, generally stays at the level of being kind of fun.
Yep. Yes, that's actually really true. The BBC has always recruited a bazillion people apply to be on The Traitors.
Yeah.
But they managed to put together a really quite eclectic group of people of all ages. Everybody that they've chosen has a really interesting or different background. There's a real mixture of professions, and there's always people who are lying about being who they are. So there's someone who is a priest who pretends not to be. In this season, Leanne was ex-army, but pretends to be a nail technician.
And sometimes you're like, why? Why do you think that's going to help you? But sometimes it does help. Like, everyone kept going on about Charlotte this year, who put on a Welsh accent for, like, the whole season. And everyone's like, why did you bother doing that? Why do you think that's helpful? But
it worked.
It actually did work. Like, she got right to the end.
Yeah.
And people... Not one of the flaws of the game is that it does play on stereotypes, and people get voted out for like some of the really bad reasons. And one of them often is if like if you're a bit posh, people don't trust you.
Yeah.
And if you've got a voice where people are like, oh, you're a bit fancy and you think you're cleverer than everyone else, you get voted off so quickly. And Charlotte probably knew she had that kind of voice, and that having a Welsh accent made her super safe and like not threatening in any way. It was so good.
When I try and explain this program to Luke, who still flat out refuses to watch, that's fine. I try and outline the concepts that we've discussed about, well, it's a murder mystery and people are playing as traitors. But I have to almost skip past that and say, on a much higher level, this is watching a random slice of British society interact with each other.
Yeah.
And watching the best and the worst of that play out.
Definitely.
And for some reason, the nation is captivated.
Yeah.
It's not dissimilar to when people explain to me what the premise of Gogglebox was, which is like people watching other people on TV.
And I have watched Gogglebox. I quite like Gogglebox.
Me too!
It's quite good.
I thought, why is everybody obsessed with this? We like to watch other people and we just find it fascinating. This fly on the wall reality TV, but especially when we put them in difficult situations, is just like, it's like a drug, and the whole nation is watching this. The ratings on this are insane. And I think I like it because it also creates that sense of togetherness that a really good TV program does. Like, remember when we were watching things like Game of Thrones and it felt like everyone was watching Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And so you look forward to the next episode. One of my friends texted me today saying another friend had been at like a watch party at a pub for this. And I thought, fun. Oh my God, it's that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
It allows for people to, it's the classic office chat of, this feels very much like when something like Love Island was in its prime.
Yes. Yeah.
And everyone was watching and everyone would come in the next day being like, oh, I can't believe that so-and-so said something to somebody else on the deck or whatever. This is the same. Everybody is watching it.
It's also coming out like in real time. Like it's not dropped all at once on streaming. It's coming out like 3 nights a week in every day in a row. And like every day on Friday, I'd be like, oh, I don't get to watch any more until Wednesday. So
this is even worse for me because I watch it at 3 a.m. when my tiny baby wakes up. And I'm like, okay, it's all right though, because I'll put on an episode of The Traitors. So the days when it's not on, I don't know what to do. I've become that person that watches, the kind of watch-along show. It's called like Traitors Uncloaked.
Oh yeah, I've watched plenty of Uncloaked, don't worry.
Which again, similar to... Do you remember after, when Game of Thrones was really in its prime, there was that thing afterwards with Grace Dent that was like the chat show after each episode?
Oh,
it's
right.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the level of like fixation around this, which is why I think we have found it appropriate for a coffee break episode. We assume other people will want to hear us chat about watching other people on a reality TV show. That is the point we've got to.
So what do you think it is that is like your like favourite part? What's the like thing that really like sucks you into it? What is it that like makes you obsessed most?
Oh my God. Okay. It must be something to do with the round table, because I sometimes have to admit to finding myself, especially as we get more towards the end of the season, almost wanting to fast forward missions. And so I think it can't be that. I can't be watching it for the sort of adventure games that are going on here. But when it's the round table, it's absolutely nail-biting. This is when people vote each other off.
And they all have to discuss for like a painfully long time. Like I think I've heard from when they've interviewed people that round table, although it's edited to like 10 minutes, 15 minutes or something, it's like an hour or longer that they're sitting at that table.
I would happily watch the uncut version.
I know.
Why is that not a thing? Why is there not like an extended edition?
They also have like no clocks in that whole house, so they just like don't know how long things are going on for all the time.
Oh, but why do I like it? Must be something to do with because I was reflecting on the fact it wouldn't be as enjoyable if we didn't know who the traitors were. So there's an alternative concept somewhere where you could have this TV show play out And the point of the audience is that we, like the faithfuls, are trying to guess who the traitors are. And that probably could have had legs. But it somehow is so much more enjoyable that we are in the know. The audience has the power. We know who the traitors are. And we're watching people blatantly lie.
Yeah.
In a way that I wasn't sure that the everyman was sort of capable of. Like, we just watched the finale. I couldn't believe Charlotte's tears
amazing.
and, like, it really makes me despair for the human race. Because,
oh, really? I think it's amazing. Here's a question for you then.
Yeah.
In general, are you rooting for the traitors or the faithful?
Oh, that's such a good question. Do you know, I think it depends who is who. If somebody likable has played a really good game as a traitor, I kind of want to see them rewarded for good gameplay.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if that's not the case, like it's often not as rewarding if a very late stage traitor wins. So, for example, if for some reason Freddie had been the last, no, he was never gonna. But if he was the last traitor standing, I probably would have thought, I just want the faithfuls to win because it would have been unsatisfying.
But if Mina had been in the finale,
then like then I would have rooted for the traitors. So I think it really depends who they are. Would you say the same?
I think I always root for the traitor pretty much. I mean, like, yeah, you're right. If it happened to be like a really like one that you didn't really feel was a real traitor, like they'd come in right at the last minute or something, maybe not. But in general, I think the show is set up, like my impression was that the show is set up for you to be rooting for the traitors because you're the ones like in the interview rooms with them and in the turret and you see them, like they're the protagonists and the faithful are kind of like the rest of the crowd.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like my assumption, which is definitely wrong because I've spoken to people, my assumption would always be that everyone's rooting for the traitors because obviously you're rooting for the traitors. They're like the whole point of the game. And clearly, this is my traitorish mind coming in because I know from talking to people that there's plenty of people who are like,
for the faithfuls.
No, the faithfuls, they're like, team spirit and work together and I want to root. And I have none of that. I am like always on the traitor side.
Okay, question. If you were playing, would you want to be a traitor?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'd be really good at it as well.
You really would. But
I'm quite good at lying.
It looks so stressful. You have to apply.
It would be stressful. But also, realistically, if you're a faithful, I know, so we've had 3 seasons now in the UK one, 2 of which, spoilers, the faithfuls have won, and 1 where the traitors have won. Or
one traitor won. Yeah.
But there are so many more faithfuls than there are traitors. So I think if you're coming into the game, you are much, much more likely to win, or at least to be able to control the narrative as a traitor.
Yeah.
Probably best is to be recruited like halfway through as a traitor, so that you've like
survived long enough.
But then you've got to have survived long enough. And loads of people just get voted out in like the first 2 days. And you're like, oh, well, that sucks.
I was actually saving up a question for you, which is, I was looking at the game design and wondering, is it possible to have a mathematical answer to, are you more likely to win just based on maths as a traitor or as a faithful? Is that something that can be determined?
I'm sure it could be determined, yes.
And so I'm asking Madeline this because she's a mathematician. Because people are like, why? How does Madeline know?
I'm pretty certain it could be determined. My instinct is it's definitely the answer is traitor.
Better to be a traitor?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also reckon that more shows overall, if you looked at all of them across all the different countries and stuff, I think probably overall faithfuls win more often. But the problem is you're very unlikely to get to the final if you're a faithful.
And is that because
there's
as
like
a faithful,
23 faithfuls, only 2 or 3 of them get to the final. Whereas as a traitor, there might be 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 6 traitors in a show. But like always 1 or 2 of them get to the final. Always. They have to.
And is that because, as a traitor, you're effectively immune from murder while you're a traitor? Whereas if you're a faithful, every night there's a mathematical possibility that you are going home.
Go home and there's nothing you can do about it. You have no control.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, shall we talk about this season? Oh my gosh.
I was loving this season, but I have to admit on air right now that the finale was a bit disappointing.
The finale made me very upset.
Yeah.
Very upset.
I loved this season. I had a great time this season. But I think because of the finale, which we'll get into, maybe we'll talk about the whole season first and then come to the finale. But yeah, I think this season has been slightly let down, and season 2 was definitely my favourite of the UK ones.
Because season 2, you saw a proper game-playing traitor be rewarded. Yeah, I agree.
And he's probably the best traitor I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was actually a very painful finale to watch. With this one, you're right, because there were at least, I thought there were 2 good traitors who would have deserved a win, which were Mina and then Charlotte.
Yes, either of them, if they had managed to do it, would have been like deserving of doing it. And I think Mina, like, she really could have done it, but also it was such a long time that she had to keep up and never be suspected. And she really was never suspected for so long, apart from like tiny little things.
Yeah.
And she was doing it exactly right. She was like the right level of, you've got to be involved in stuff, but not too involved in stuff. You've got to say your thoughts, but not be too strong. Like, she was just exactly right. And that could have gotten her to the final, but it was almost like not quite enough, because the fact that she was doing it exactly right almost became the reason people ended up going for her.
And I found that disappointing.
Yeah.
Because for the first half of the season, it felt so gratifying to watch exactly that she narrativized the fact that Armani was overdoing it.
Yeah.
Had put herself out there too much. Linda, bless her.
Was completely useless.
It was just useless. And it just, slipped up by basically answering to the name traitor.
The first episode somehow survived like half the show.
Yeah. Whereas Mina, I thought, okay, she could go all the way.
Yeah.
But you're right, there was something unsatisfying about watching her be banished for really the simple reason of, like, not being an obvious traitor at all.
Yeah.
That was her undoing, wasn't it? I can't think there wasn't a slip-up.
There wasn't a slip-up, really. And obviously, in the end, Charlotte voted for her, which, at some point, it just becomes a numbers game.
Yeah. Oh, okay, well, here's a question. Do you think that Mina made the wrong decision in recruiting Charlotte?
Ultimately, yes, but I don't think she could have known at the time that it was the wrong decision. She was working with what she had. She was very trusting of Charlotte, which was quite bold, because we were seeing Charlotte immediately go, well, I don't trust anyone, and therefore I'm going to be out for myself straight away.
Yeah.
And Mina genuinely thought that Charlotte was going to, like, go to the end with her. And that was probably the mistake.
I think Mina thought Charlotte was supporting cast, and that Mina was going to be sort of the lead traitor and bring Charlotte under her wing. She was taken in by the Welsh accent.
She was.
That, we got halfway through the season, and I think Charlotte even said, all I'm doing is this useless Welsh accent. And I thought, yeah, it's pretty pants. Yeah. And then actually it was the winning.
It was the thing.
It was such a good idea.
And Charlotte actually probably was the better traitor of the two of them, out of Mina and Charlotte. Like, she immediately took to it, knew what she had to do. I think Charlotte is the first person I've seen in this whole game, in all 3 seasons, apart from maybe Harry in season 2, who got the logic of what they needed to do at every step. Like, she would, like, think ahead, she would make a plan, and she'd do something a bit, like, bold. Sometimes it worked better than others, but, like, she got what needed to be done.
Yeah. She had intelligent gameplay in a way that, like, bless him, like Freddie just...
Well, no, Freddie had no clue what was going on.
No clue. If it hadn't been for the introduction of the seer power, do you think Charlotte would have won?
I hope so, yeah. And I think she should have won.
Yeah. Okay, so I feel like we have to talk about the seer power, because that was... And I remember Claudia saying, and there's going to be this power that will be the ultimate game changer. And I thought, really? Is it? And it completely was.
And you know what? It was... But I think in a bad way.
I agree.
And it's sad, because I like the idea that they've been mixing things up. I like the idea that they've, like, come up with something different. Otherwise, we would just see the same show play out every single time. And we'd get to the end and there'd be, like, 1 or 2 traitors left. And then, like, you keep voting until there's 1 or 2 people, and it's kind of luck whether the traitor's there or not.
It's like Love Island. If you're going to run a formatted reality show, you have to introduce something a bit different.
And so I was like, actually, I thought it was a good idea when I heard it. But the way that it played out was really unfortunate, both for Frankie and for Charlotte and for the game in general, I think.
Yeah.
Frankie, everyone wanted the seer power, and nobody predicted that if you got the seer power, you were basically going to be doomed.
I agree. I think they can't actually repeat that format next time, because you're completely right. Anybody watching this one, it is a complete poison chalice to be the seer, because nobody will trust you after that. And that's exactly what happened. Frankie just got voted out.
And it came down to Frankie chose to find out, seemingly quite innocently, chose Charlotte. Whether she had some suspicions because of Charlotte getting voted out by Freddie, I don't know. But she said it was because she just wanted to confirm a faithful, and then they'd have two faithfuls, they'd know each other.
I believed that.
And yeah, I think it was at least what she wanted to happen. But what actually happened was she found out that Charlotte's a traitor, so they go into breakfast and each of them just accuses the other one of being a traitor. Now, that is basically dooming both of them to be banished, because everyone else cannot trust either of them. Like, even if you did trust one, like, they both really tried to pull on the heartstrings. And I mean, Frankie to Leanne in the kitchen, where she was like begging her and being like, "Oh, my children's lives."
It got deep.
It got really deep. But ultimately, if you're playing a game and you take aside all of that like emotion, you cannot trust either of them enough to keep them in. And so both of them had to go. Yeah. And they were going to go. And so it kind of ruined things for both of them, which sucked.
Yeah, the game can't support that aspect, I think, for another season, because nobody
unless they did
that.
It differently. The only other way I can think that they could do it is if you've ever played some of these games, like board game versions of these kind of games, sometimes you don't know what roles people have, so they could give out a seer power like they sometimes give out shields, where nobody knows who's got the seer power.
That's a good point.
That might make it better.
Oh, that's way better.
People could claim to have the seer power when they don't, and just like throw things out there, or like somebody could keep it secret but then use it later. Like that, I think could work.
Maddie, you should write that into the BBC.
They probably already thought about it.
BBC, if you're among the handful of real nerds that listen to this, please take Maddie's advice on board.
Anyway, I think that could be better. But yeah, as it was, it sucked. It ruined the end. And also, can we please talk about Alexander?
Yes, although just before we move off the seer, we have to address that, because we were talking in between episodes and they had left it on a cliffhanger when we knew that Frankie was going to choose to see Charlotte's true self. Yeah. And you said to me what they should both do, because I thought, how's this going to play out? They're just going to accuse each other. And you said, no. What should happen is that Charlotte should give Frankie a proposal, which is to say, okay, look, you now know I'm a traitor. I'm the only one.
Yeah.
If you join me as a traitor and just let's go back into breakfast and say that we're faithful, then you and I can ride it out until the end.
Basically,
and she didn't do that.
Basically recruit Frankie via the back door, like without the producer's permission. I don't know whether they were told not to do that they weren't allowed to say that.
I imagine it has to be, because when you told me that plan, I thought that's the obvious plan. That's the winning plan.
Or Charlotte just genuinely didn't have time to come up with the plan. She literally went from like, it's like a 1 in 4 chance that I'll get chosen by Frankie, and Frankie likes me and supports me, so she probably won't choose me, to walking into that room being like, she probably just didn't have time to think of it.
Yeah, because of course the other players thought of that plan and assumed that if one of them was a traitor, that in that conversation they could have recruited each other. So there was, unfortunately, trust was completely gone with the both of them. And I thought it was a disappointing end that Frankie couldn't salvage herself from that situation.
And I thought it was a disappointing end that Charlotte just basically got destroyed as a traitor immediately. Like, what else could she do? And apart from potentially backdoor recruitment.
I found that ever so slightly satisfying, because I was surprised that the round table had the guts to vote for Charlotte when, I mean, she had really staged a full-on crying breakdown. She'd spent so long positioning herself as the ultimate faithful. But
Freddie had voted for her
but
too.
Freddie had voted for her.
Two pieces of quite solid evidence.
Yeah, that's right. Ugh. Okay, let's talk about Alexander.
Oh, I feel so sad for Alexander.
So do I.
I loved it.
Wait, can we move? Shall we introduce our categories?
Yeah.
we all sometimes forget our categories. Okay, so the first category is the thermometer level. And I wouldn't have thought that this category would have any traction on this show.
No, I was going to say, like, 0.
I was going to say 0.
We're not watching this for the hot people.
Right, no, we're not. So we might give it a 0. But there I was, scrolling on the BBC, or, the BBC was even doing, like, a watch-along live chat, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I had not realised how many people would not give this programme a 0 on the thermometer level, but would in fact rate it very highly.
I mean, yeah, he's an attractive guy, and he's also, like, a bit, like, quirky and weird. Like, he was quite, like... He was quite wacky, which was fun.
This had passed me by, but apparently there's a whole Alexander fan club.
That's so funny.
That's going on, and who was sort of fangirling over. Do you remember when they had to run around looking for coins? And Claudia was like, "He's like a pony."
Yes. And he did the, like, funny singing backwards thing that's been clipped everywhere. It's like, smash, 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 blah, blah.
Okay, so as we said, a 0 on the hotness scale. But although, there's a 0 on the hotness scale for this season. I remember one of the best bits of drama. It was either the first season or the second one. Do you remember when there was a couple in it?
It was season 1.
It was season 1, and there was a couple who hadn't declared they were boyfriend and girlfriend. And one of the couple started realising they were receiving romantic interest from someone else.
Yes,
and it was really tense.
No, she was using the fact that she knew she was attractive, and, like, she was flirting with people. And, like, a guy... I can't remember all of their names now, which is really bad. Should have looked them up. But yeah, there was another guy who was, like, genuinely interested in her. Yeah. And the boyfriend just, like... freaked out and announced to themselves at breakfast. It was the first fully gasp out loud, like, shocked moment of Traitors ever. And it just was like, I think it was called, like, the Red Breakfast by people afterwards, because it just, like, was a complete disaster. Went down terribly. Everyone was like, what? You guys are a couple and you, like, lied? And, like, does that mean you're, like, both traitors? Like, nobody had ever seen people, like, keep secrets before and them get revealed, so they weren't really sure what that meant. Yeah. It was just a complete gameplay disaster, and he basically did it because his girlfriend was getting hit on by someone else.
That is a great example of what I was saying about why the show is actually enjoyable. Yeah. Like, sure, there's this murder mystery game element, but we're saying one of the best moments was just watching some guy find it too upsetting to see his own girlfriend be hit on in front of him that he forgot the game entirely and just, like, broke character. Yeah. And that's why this show is so good. It's so good.
Yeah, because someone like me often, now you can probably tell, like, from when I've been talking about the games, like, I like games, I like board games, I like logic puzzles, I like working out. And so I'll be sitting there, like, trying to work out, like, the best way to play, or, like, what's the thing that this person should do next or not do next, and, like, thinking about it very logically. But that completely doesn't work because these people are not acting logically. Everyone around you is not acting logically. They're all in this, like, intense emotional state where they're just thinking about, like, their own survival, their relationships, who do they trust, who do they not. People do things that are completely illogical for the gameplay, and yet that's what makes it brilliant. Yeah. Because you then have to work. You can't... People who do come into the game and try and play it logically do not do well because they miss the point that everyone else is thinking emotionally and is not thinking on, like, just purely a logical level. Yeah. And that, like, really, you miss you're missing, like, 80% of the game if you don't look at that, like, emotional side.
That was why it was so powerful to watch, like you said, Frankie's conversation in the kitchen with Leanne. I felt that sort of penultimate episode where it was Frankie versus Charlotte, that everybody kept saying in the game, oh, it's not personal. But I really felt it started to get personal. And Frankie even took Charlotte aside and said, like, why do you want this so much? Yeah. I thought,
which was also quite harsh, because do you remember at the dinner, Charlotte had said why she wanted it so much.
Yeah, she had.
She said that she was trying to conceive and that they were basically, like, she basically said that they were trying to save money to help them conceive, or for, like, IVF and stuff, which is a bloody expensive thing to do. Yeah. And so, like, Frankie had been going on as a mum this, and me and Leanne are both mums.
So true.
And then to say to Charlotte, who wants to be a mum, why do you want this so much? Yeah. That's cruel.
That's so true. Yeah. It had gone to a new level in that episode. Yeah. And interesting when you say, you like the safety of it just being a game. I think you're quite right, because that was when I was starting to find it uncomfortable to watch. I didn't like it at that point.
No.
I didn't like how distressed Frankie was when she genuinely found out Charlotte was a traitor.
Yeah.
Just in the same way that Harry winning season 2, I thought was rewarding from a gameplay aspect, but I can't remember the name of the woman who lost to him.
Molly or something?
It was,
no.
She was a faithful, and she had really trusted him. And you watched someone feel really broken. He had used her. I remember thinking the victory was slightly hollow, because I was really upset for her. I went away from that thinking, I really hope he goes off stage and says, it's all right, we'll split the money. You know?
Well, I don't think he did, but
no.
I'm sure he
Which circles us back to Alexander, because my ultimate issue with what happened to Alexander, apart from the fact he was just unlucky, was when we got down to the final 4, and it was an interesting final because it was all 4 faithfuls.
Which I thought the producers tried to avoid, and I think they have tried to avoid.
Yeah.
I think I read that has never happened in any of the other seasons, ever.
No, but it was interesting how it did happen.
I quite like, it was interesting.
If emotions hadn't been so high in that last set of 4, anybody who took the time to think about it logically, there really was a lot of evidence that Alexander was not a traitor.
Yeah, it was mad to think that Alexander was not a faithful at that point.
It was, wasn't it? I mean, he had said, Frankie, use your seer power on me. Yeah. He had managed to be so convincing up until that last bit around the fire pit, that he managed to be so convincing that they had always gone for someone else and not him. Part of me didn't like this finale, because a bit of me thought every one of this 4 is a faithful. And are people now just trying to make their own monetary pot bigger?
Yes, and I think this is the first time that we've really seen that. But I think it's a fundamental flaw in the game.
Yeah.
That there is no incentive, if you're a faithful, to not keep voting at the end.
Yes.
And to just reduce it down to 2 people. Unless you think you're the one that's going to go out. But the only people who want to stop the game early are traitors, because they know they're going to win anyway.
Yeah.
If you're a faithful, you just go to 2 people and you split the money.
Yeah.
There's no other reason to split by 4 or split by 3. It just doesn't make any sense.
When it gets down to the fire pit bit of the finale, I agree. I thought this design is flawed, because with Alexander as an example, I believe he thought everyone there was a faithful.
He had some suspicions of Leanne.
Maybe a bit. But if he had chosen to stop the game, he thought, this will make everyone just think I'm a traitor and vote me off. So you can't be the person who says, I'd like to stop, please, magnanimously.
Because then they'll all vote for you immediately. Only a traitor would want to stop the game, and then you're done.
Exactly. So you're right. It just facilitates faithfuls getting cut all the way down to the last 2. And when it went to Frankie, Jake and Leanne, apart from the fact Charlotte had made that, I thought, really quite unfair statement about, don't keep this woman in the finale. Again, I wonder if on reflection everyone would have thought, no, Frankie really is a faithful. It felt dissatisfying to have her and Alexander cut. And you're right, the tweak could be that there should just be a prize pot, that if you're left in there, however many people are left in there at the end, you all get 50 grand or something. And maybe the elevated aspect of being a traitor is, if you're a traitor and the game ends with 4 of you still in it, you get 50 grand times 4 or something.
Or some people have suggested that if you cut faithfuls, in that end game, you actually cut their portion of the profits out.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yes, that would be a way of because I did feel at the end that of those 4, there was an incentive to keep banishing just in order to enrich yourself.
Yeah, which is a shame.
And
I haven't seen it quite so strongly in the first 2 seasons, because there still was a traitor in there, so it wasn't quite so obvious that that's what was going on. But I think that is a problem.
Yeah. And I didn't think there was enough cause to vote those last people out. Like, I didn't think Alexander should have gone. I'm not sure on balance that Frankie should have gone, which was deeply unfair.
All right, let's talk about our second category, which is like badassness.
Oh, then we've got to talk about missions.
Yeah.
I've come up and said it towards the end. I run out of patience with the missions, and I just want to see the round table.
Yeah.
What do you think of the missions?
I think the missions were poor in seasons 1 and 2, and this is something they have improved massively for season 3.
Yeah.
The missions were so much better than this year, and the one reason that they're better is because they realised previously everyone in the mission just had the same goal. All the traitors and the faithfuls were all just doing the same thing, trying to get as much money for the pot. And so there was no stakes in the missions for you to like work out who the traitors were from the mission, because everyone had the same goal. And pretty much every mission this season, they had some kind of twist on the mission that meant that either the traitors knew some extra information about the game or had some like side goal that allowed us to see, okay, how are the traitors going to play that? Are they just going to 100% pretend to be faithful and just do what the faithfuls would do? Or are they going to try and like risk being found out by doing something a little bit different?
Yes.
And that is what saved the missions this year.
The missions were
so
better.
Good.
You're right. They were better woven into the fabric of the game. And you're right. It was enjoyable to watch the mission where they had to answer questions or the gunpowder exploded.
Yeah.
And to watch Armani like deliberately fluff up questions.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're right. It was more interesting. And the chess game had a similar sort of
Pretty
thing.
much all of them had something. Or if they didn't have something like that, they had the shield aspect, which has always been fun.
Yeah.
Where like people are like trying to get a shield, and do the traitors try and get it, or do they try and work out who's got it and that kind of thing. Yeah.
An aspect of the game though that seems to have decreased in importance as the seasons have gone on, was touted as a big thing in season 1, was the logic of keeping in faithfuls who were somehow like more athletic because they might like win more money in the, and they seem to have decreased that need.
Well, ultimately what they've realised is that yes the games are fun, yes the games determine how much money you win, but by the end of the game, there will be a massive pot no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So actually, realistically, how good you are at the games doesn't make that much difference.
And the missions are something that sometimes I'm tempted to fast forward. Like, I don't find them as interesting to watch as much as, oh my God, I would pay such money to participate. Yeah. Like, you know, when you do those kind of like company away days, or, you know, there's versions of this like Go Ape things. Yeah. But, oh my God, I want to go to the Scottish Highlands and like jump out of helicopters and like row a Viking boat across a river and like jump through fire and all of this. It actually looks like maybe sometimes a bit boring to watch, but actually awesome to play.
Yeah.
Although I couldn't have dealt with that creepy clown game or the spooky dolls.
Creepy clowns are crazy.
There was some horrible stuff. Or the thing where they have to be buried. Actually, no, I take it back. There was some bits where I thought, I'm not sure I could do that.
It was interesting when the games, like, particularly the coffin ones, where people genuinely seem like quite disturbed by like getting out of the coffins and stuff.
Yeah, which I completely get. Which I completely get. Something we didn't get in this season, though, just as we're comparing to earlier seasons, did you notice that at the round tables, when heat was on somebody, we didn't get quite as many totally tearful breakdowns at the round table of like, no, I swear it's not me. We've had real protestation at previous ones.
I think for the first 75% of this season, it was less emotional than some previous seasons, or less like outwardly immediately emotional. I think there were probably more people in the game who were like, okay, it is just a game though, and you know, and like even someone like Alexander would use that. He'd be like, okay, yeah, I would say that though, because it's a game and I'm saying I'm a faithful. Like he would sometimes like remind people that it's a game, and I think that probably helps like soothe that. But by the last couple of episodes, that was completely gone, and they like all broke down.
Was there anything in this game that you think, first of all, was there any player this season that you wish had lasted longer?
Ooh.
Let's start with that.
Who would have lasted long? Oh, Kaz. But this happens every single season.
Doctor.
Every single season, somebody who's like interesting and intelligent, thoughtful and nice, just comes across as like too intelligent.
Yeah.
And they all turn on them.
Yeah.
Always.
Isn't that depressing?
It sucks. And it is another one of those flaws that I think... I love this show so much. I'm obsessed with it. But there are many, many flaws to the format, and that is one of them. People turning on intelligent people is really sad.
Okay, so for example, difficult question. If you went on this show, which, by the way, you should, because you'd be brilliant, would you tell people that you're an Oxford mathematician?
No!
Who would you pretend to be?
Voted out in the first day if you said you were an Oxford mathematician.
So who would you pretend to be?
I don't know. Like,
what would be your like secret identity?
It would have to be realistic. Like, I can't just like make up that I'm a nail technician because I know nothing about nails or whatever. Like Leanne,
you could be like a musical theatre performer,
like, or not even a performer. Like that would be too much.
Musical theatre
like
conductor.
Work backstage at theatres or something.
Well, that's a good cover. Like, you're like a stage.
I do like the sound or the lighting or something.
Okay, yeah, something that wouldn't be too.
And the people wouldn't like ask too many questions about.
That's a really good point. God, there's so many levels to this game. I found it unsatisfying that after all this business with the Welsh accent, I was waiting for a moment for Charlotte to reveal her true voice, and it never got revealed.
Well, it did on the like uncloaked episodes.
It did. But actually, in the real time of I was hoping when she said farewell, then I wanted her to do her own voice and everyone to think, oh my God.
But the tension was too high. She was like, they were all about to. They would have been like, what and why, and like the moment wasn't right. If she'd got out earlier, maybe that would have been quite fun.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like Linda's little thing when she left and stuff. And like, I think sometimes traitors can go out with a little bit of a like flourish, which is always nice. But there was too much tension in that room. It would have gone down like a lead balloon. I
just didn't think that Charlotte needed to take Frankie down with her. That was where I thought it got too personal in the way that she did. It was almost like Charlotte couldn't help her own emotional reaction to not winning.
Yeah.
And lashed out when I quite like what I'm sure are quite strict production rules about if you are voted out as a traitor, you just have to take it on the chin and leave.
Yeah.
You can't.
Well, unlike what happened in season 1 where he said like, this is a parting gift, and he literally told everyone who the other traitor was.
Oh, that wasn't cool either.
It was really bad. It basically broke the format.
It didn't work. Yeah, that's right. But I thought this was almost close. To that, except it was the other way around.
But she was just being a traitor, saying it faithful, and it was before she was voted out.
Yeah.
She hadn't gone at that point.
So can we briefly address obsession fuel?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, we've said this already, but this has totally gripped the nation, unless I'm just in an echo chamber.
No. I think this is like one of the most successful shows of like. Yeah, right now it's completely got the most obsession fuel. I'm completely obsessed.
I will change what I'm doing with my evening to make sure that this is available to view, or you know, I can't miss it. And it has that same thing of feeling like you're collectively viewing something with the rest of the nation because it's appointment television.
Yeah,
and because it has the potential to be spoiled. It's so suspenseful that you have to sit down and watch it every day because you will hear what happens otherwise the next day.
Yeah, and I think the thing for me that it like causes the obsession fuel is the like theorizing over like strategy and like what's going to happen next and who's going to do what, and is this person going to take this strategy or that one, or what's going to happen if they do kill that person rather than that person, like how's that all going to play out. And it's kind of like playing out the strategy but also playing out like the characters and seeing what you genuinely think is going to happen.
It allows you to play the game alongside because you talk to your friends about, well, my next move, that the game almost pauses every episode and allows you to think, if I was playing as that character, this is what I would do next.
I hate some of the cliffhangers though, even though like obviously that's what makes it so obsessive, having the cliffhangers at those moments. But sometimes I'm like, what? I want another hour of this right now. I can't have this cliffhanger right now.
Yeah, but that's why it's pleasurable, because we're so used to a whole season of something dropping at once on streaming and just being able to binge watch something, that it's nice to have this little bit of frustration every day and to think, I've got to wait until tomorrow for the next episode. But okay, it goes without saying that if the minute they do another season of this, we're going to sit down and watch.
Yeah. And you said you've even watched some of the like American ones and stuff.
Oh God, I've watched a load of the like other country versions of the Traitors because again, same thing. It's the same format. It's the same. You're still watching other people. I can't think of a world in which this is not fascinating.
Yeah.
So yes, if there's a season 4, I'm definitely going to watch.
We have to talk about one more thing, though, not necessarily on, we're kind of on Obsession Fuel, and that is unique to the UK one, which is the incredible Claudia Winkleman, who makes this show.
I love her.
Like, she is completely amazing. She just, like, walks into every scene with this, like, commanding presence in some kind of bizarre outfit with her fringe, like, covering half of her eyes. Her makeup gets more and more like a badger with every episode that goes by, and it is incredible. She just, like... She controls everything with this, like, unnerving quality where everyone's, like, not quite sure what to think of what's, like, of her, but yet she clearly, like, loves them all and is having the most fun.
Yeah. I was completely obsessed with Claudia's fringe this season. I'm always obsessed with Claudia's fringe, but, like, she must have to trim that every single day.
Yeah.
Because it is just above the kind of pupil line of her eyes.
Yeah.
That I'm like, she must wake up in the morning, realise she can't see, and just needs to trim it back just a little bit. Just 1 millimetre. And every day it's the same length.
It's amazing.
And they have to position her hat just right. So that, and the like dress is fabulous because it's the Scottish Highlands, which just makes it fantastic. And she's always in some sort of wonderful shearling coat.
Yeah, like
boots.
incredible roll neck jumpers and shawls and like crazy boots and skirts. And yeah. Amazing.
Claudia needs to be the face of some kind of Scottish tweed brand.
Yeah.
Because it would sell.
It would sell.
But no, she completely makes the show, and I would see the show really suffering, actually, if they replaced her as a host.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine, I've not seen the American ones, but I can imagine Alan Cumming is also very good.
Do you know, he is good.
Yeah.
He is good. He's not quite as satisfying to watch as Claudia, but actually he is good.
I mean, he's like a character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Yes. So you're right, it doesn't quite fail without her. But yes, she gets as much of the discussion space as like the players themselves.
Yeah.
So no, she is great.
All right. So what are you hoping for season 4 then?
Yeah, this sounds really nerdy, but as we've discussed, some tweaks, some finessing of the game rules.
Yeah.
I think the seer power needs to be adjusted. I think the format of how the fire pit goes down.
Yeah, it's really hard to think of something good for the ending, but it feels like they've got to the point where they need to rethink the ending a little.
And also, sorry, just to go on about the ending again, even just some basic maths, and this is why I felt that it was everybody being sort of avaricious at the end and just banishing others, was that if you were one of those faithfuls, you know at the beginning of the game that there are 3 traitors.
You don't know that.
Oh, okay.
You don't know how many there are.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, otherwise, you would have been able to mathematically calculate on the nights when there weren't murders and you thought there was a recruitment. You would have realised by the end that you had got all the traitors out.
Yeah, well, the problem was they didn't know Charlotte was 100% definitely a traitor, which I actually think is a good rule change, that they didn't announce what they were as they went out. Oh, no, sorry, they did know that Charlotte was, but they didn't know...
No, they didn't know that Charlotte was.
Did she not say?
No, she didn't say.
Yeah, exactly. So the point was they couldn't be sure. And I did, in theory, I liked the idea that they didn't say as they went out, because what used to happen in the past was they would just vote until they found a traitor. And then once they found a traitor, they were like, well, we found the last traitor, so therefore we're all faithful. And so by not saying, it added more doubt and you had to think more carefully.
Yeah.
But equally, I think it added to the, well, we might as well just go to 2 people scenario, which kind of sucked.
Yeah. Tweaks to the game design are what I'd like to see. What about you?
I guess the thing that frustrates me the most is the kind of race to the bottom in terms of banishment and murder, because traitors are always trying to murder people who are strong leaders in the group, who are like taking control, who are coming up with good theories. So traitors are always murdering like strong people. And then inevitably people end up banishing similar types of people because they think those people are likely to be good at being a traitor as well. Yeah. And so what you end up with, and it was worst for this in season 1, was you end up with, near the end, kind of a group of people that are like a bit weak at the game.
Yeah.
And so I think they've done better with that, and I don't know whether that's luck or whether they've somehow kind of adjusted the game a little bit to help with that. But there does seem to be, there's no room for being clever or for being a strong character.
Or if you are, you have to mask
keep it secret.
You have to keep it a secret.
Which is, maybe that is part of what the game's about. Like, Charlotte clearly was very intelligent and she kept it quiet.
Okay, I've thought of an adjustment I would like to see. I don't know how you would engineer this as the game designers. But, we're talking about the lack of thermometer level and about the fact that we're enjoying watching real people sort of play out. I want them to put some more single people in there. There's a lot of, like, people doing it for their families. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
But, oh my God, the stakes would be really elevated if you saw some people genuinely start to form, like, flirtatious attachments to each other.
Yeah.
It would really complicate the dynamic.
Well, I think that might have been what happened last year with season 2, is that Harry, like, he was attractive, and the girl that we don't remember her name because she was so bland and got pulled along to the end because of Harry, she was also very attractive. And I think he used the fact that she kind of liked him.
It makes for good television. I would find it so satisfying to watch, like, a real romance play out, because everything's right for it. It is a remote setting. It's like in the same way that stuff happens on, like, corporate away weeks or school trips or this has or like the university skiing trip. Yeah. Like, something about a bunch of people being put in an odd situation in a, like, faraway castle. How is there not more like romance? Yeah. So maybe that is the only thing that I if you're listening, BBC, would quite like.
We can sell our ideas to the BBC.
Yeah, or maybe just the Traitors game in the Love Island villa. I realise that is ITV, but I don't care. I want a splicing of these two formats.
Pitch it now.
Yes, exactly. You've been listening to the Fangirl Diaries. Follow us on Instagram at Fangirl Diaries Pod.
And do share us with any of your friends that you think might enjoy the podcast, and rate or review us on Spotify or Apple Music.